Hello MO8. On Friday we had to go through the CQL part of the lesson rather quickly, so I thought what might be helpful is if I went through a couple of things that I wasn't able to show you, just so you can practice a bit more and perhaps understand a little bit better how it works. So as you can see here, I've got the window open on British National Corpus, tagged by clause, in case you want to do it the same way. It's probably a good idea to start with this corpus for reasons that will become clear in a minute. So I've got it on the CQL and I'm going to do a couple of searches. Now first of all, one important thing which I didn't show you is this tag set summary. Now what happens if you click on here is that a new window opens. And this will show you, once you've read this initial stuff, generally what a tag set is. So this is part of speech tags for a particular corpus. But if you go down, you'll see all the tags that are used on this corpus. So for example, AJ0 is an adjective. AJC is comparative adjective. It's important here, in case it's not clear, to distinguish between 0 and the capital O. Capital O is a much fatter symbol, so usually it's possible to tell the difference. Anyway, so this is really useful. I'll show you how it works. So just with a couple of searches. So you might remember from our first session, we looked at, one of the things we looked at was verbs followed ending in ing, which go after go. So if we wanted to look for the verbs which occur most often after go, we could do it like this. So go followed by the tag of the ing form, which is VVG. Now I'm not including at this stage auxiliary verbs, so there's no doing, being, having. But I'm not really interested in looking at those anyway. So if we just do this search, we'll see what happens. You'll notice that this word lowercase is the default. So you'll see here immediately that I've got the sort of thing that I wanted, and if I really want to check a bit more carefully, as usual, I could go here, node forms. I wonder which one is most frequent. Shopping, perhaps? Some nice music in the background. Well, yeah, shopping is the top one. Okay, great. Shopping, swimming, looking. Okay, interesting. Fishing. You might wonder why these are slightly different from the results that I showed you before, if you can remember them. It may well be, and you might have noticed already, that we're only got here go. You might be interested in looking at all forms of go followed by ing. So why don't we do that search as well? The way we can do it, well, there's a couple of ways of doing it, but I'll show you let's take this a bit further. So lemma, if we do lemma equals go, that will look for all forms of go, of course. Then we could do the same thing again, tag equals VVG. So this will do the same thing, except it'll look for all forms of go. So we should get slightly different results. Well, first of all, we get a lot more results. We'll see that we've got different forms of go. Let's have a look which ones are the most frequent. Interestingly, go shopping, still top. But of course, the issue here then is that different forms of go get split. So go went missing, gone missing are separate. They're not together. But still, you get quite an interesting list. You could save this finding if you wanted to, and then do some post-processing if you wanted. So that's one use of CQL that I think you might find useful. Let's look at just a couple of other examples. I was interested to see which adjectives go in the pattern as adjective as. So if I wanted to do this, I could do tag equals whatever adjective is. If I've forgotten what adjective is, I can come here. I can look. Well, these are the three options. I don't think in this case it's relevant to look for comparatives and superlatives. I'll just stick with unmarked adjectives. So I can put in here A, J, O. If I wanted to look for all kinds of adjectives, what I could do is, instead of putting the 0, I put dot like this. And that will look for all forms of the adjectives. Well, I could do that now anyway, because it won't make much difference. And then put as. So this is what CQL is good for, looking for these patterns where you have a wildcard in the middle, or you're looking for all different kinds of words with a particular tag. Well, there's really a lot of these, we can see that's very frequent. And here we go, we've got all these different adjectives. I imagine as long as is going to be the top one. Oh no, I was wrong. It's as good as long as it's quite a long way down. Huh. Well, there you go. That's how you can look for this particular pattern as adjective as. Okay, I'll just show you one more, just to bring home the power of this, the CQL, and just show you a bit more about how it works. So if I'm interested then in looking at verbs followed by infinitives, so this is quite a productive pattern in English. I could look for verbs, lexical verbs here, any form. Then I need to know what the infinitive tag is. I could just put, of course, to, but to is also a preposition in English, so I might want to specify that it's specifically to when it's to with an infinitive, and there is a marker for a tag for this. It's normally TO. Here we are, yeah. So it's to, T, letter O, 0. So if I put this tag in, tag equals TO, and don't forget the quotation marks. This should bring up all the verbs which are followed by infinitive. There'll be really a lot of these, yeah, very, very frequent. And we can have a quick look just to check. So yes, we've all got infinitive forms after. So which verb is, or which form is the most frequent? So want to and going to, yet no great big surprise there. Need to is the third one. So these are all the ones which you probably would expect. What's interesting here is that gonna and going to are listed separately. We might consider them to be the same thing. We could look at this from a slightly different perspective by looking at the tags. And this shows us that the most common form, in fact, is the past participle. Let me just show you these. Yeah, where are said to. Well, that's sort of interesting too. Okay, just one final thing I wanted to show you. If you were doing this search, it's a slightly easier way of doing it. So if I go back to where I was. So I don't need to write all these brackets and things. If I've got two tags, they're both tags. Why bother wasting my time? I can change this to tag, and then I can just do this. And I will get the same result. Don't need to write all that. Because I've changed the default to tag, it will bring this up. So this is all. I think that's quite long enough for now, 10 minutes. Hopefully this will help you understand CQL a little bit better.